Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nittang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 8. The character of Bharat Maharaj. Text, is it 28 here? Text 28. Tatrapi ha ba atmano mrigatta karanang bhagavad aradhana samihan ubhabenanu smritya bhrisham anutaptamanaha aha. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Although in the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj, due to his rigid devotional service in his past life, could understand the cause of his birth in that body. Considering his past and present life, he constantly repented his activities, speaking in the following way. Please repeat after me. Although in the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj, due to his rigid devotional service in his past life, could understand the cause of his birth in that body. Considering his past and present life, he constantly repented his activities in the following way. So purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a special concession for a devotee. Even he attains a body that is non-human, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he advances further in devotional service, whether by remembering his past life or by natural causes. It is not easy for a common man to remember the activities of his past life. But Bharat Maharaj could remember his past activities due to his great sacrifices and engagement in devotional service. Can everybody hear me? Sound is okay? Okay, thank you. I was thinking, I'll go to the next verse also. So this verse ends that Bharat Maharaj was repenting, speaking in the following way, speaking in this way. So let's hear what Bharat Maharaj was saying. Aho kashtang bhrashtah matma batam anupathadda vimukta samasta sangasya vibikta punnaranya sharanashatmavat atmani sarvesham atmanang bhavati vasudeve tad anushravana manan sankirtan aradhananusmaranadbhi yogena shunna shakala yamena kalena samaveshitang samahitang katsnena manastattu punar mamabudha sharan mrigashutamanu parishusraba. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. In the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj began to lament, "What misfortune! I have fallen from the path of self-realized. I gave up my real sons, wife, and home to advance in spiritual life, and I took shelter in a solitary holy place in the forest. I became self-controlled and self-realized, and I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. I was successful in my attempt, so much so that my mind was always absorbed in devotional service. However, due to my personal foolishness, my mind again became attached, this time to a deer. Now I have obtained the body of a deer and have fallen far from my devotional practice." Isn't it so nice, such a wonderful lamenting prayer? Okay, you all read after me. In the body of a deer, is that clear? Can everybody see that? Little hazy? Okay, so you can see that also. In the body of a deer, Bharat Maharaj began to lament, "What misfortune! I have fallen from the path of self-realized. I gave up my real sons, wife, and home to advance in spiritual life, and I took shelter in a solitary holy place in the forest. I became self-controlled and self-realized, and I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. I was successful in my attempt, so much so that my mind was always absorbed in devotional service. However, due to my personal foolishness, my mind again became attached, this time to a deer. Now I have obtained the body of a deer and have fallen far from my devotional practices. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Due to his stringent execution of devotional service, Maharaj Bharat could remember the activities of his past life and how he was raised to the spiritual platform. Due to his foolishness, he became attached to an insignificant deer and thus fell down and had to accept the body of a deer. This is significant for every devotee. If we misuse our position and think that we are fully engaged in devotional service and can do whatever we like, we have to suffer like Bharat Maharaj and be condemned to accept the type of body that impairs our devotional service. Only the human form is able to execute devotional service. But if we voluntarily give this up for sense gratification, we certainly have to be punished. This punishment is not exactly like that endured by an ordinary materialistic person. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, a devotee is punished in such a way that his eagerness to attain the lotus feet of the Lord Vasudeva is increased. By his intense desire, he returns home in the next lifetime. Devotional service is very completely described here. Tad anushravana manana sankirtana aradhana anusmarana abhijogena. The constant hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord is recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Satatam kirtayanto mam jatantascha dridhabrata. Those who have taken to Krishna consciousness should be very careful that not a single moment is wasted and that not a single moment is spent without chanting and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His activities. By His own actions and by the actions of His devotees, Krishna teaches us how to become cautious in devotional service. Through the medium of Bharat Maharaj, Krishna teaches us that we must be careful in the discharge of devotional service. If we want to keep our minds completely fixed without deviation, we must engage them in devotional service full time. As far as the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness are concerned, they have sacrificed everything to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. Yet, they may take a lesson from the life of Bharat Maharaj to be very cautious and to see that not a single moment is wasted in frivolous talk, sleep, or various eating or voracious eating. Eating is not prohibited, but if we eat voraciously, we shall certainly sleep more than required. Sense gratification ensues, and we may be degraded to a lower life form. In that way, our spiritual progress may be checked, at least for the time being. The best course is to take the advice of Srila Rupa Goswami, Abhyartha Kalatam. We should see that every moment of our lives is utilized for the rendering of devotional service and nothing else. This is the secure position for one wanting to return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So how many of you understood the purport? Raise your hands. How many of you didn't understand the purport? Okay, the purport is very simple. That's why I thought that everybody understood. That's why I asked, how many of you understood the purport? The purport is, now that you have come to Krishna consciousness, become very serious. Don't take any chance. Now that you have developed, now that you have found Krishna consciousness, now that you have become engaged in Krishna consciousness, become absolutely serious about your spiritual life. If you don't, then what may happen? What do you learn from this chapter? Anybody? If you don't become serious in your spiritual life, then what may happen? Yes. Something like Bharat Maharaj may happen. What did happen to Bharat Maharaj? Bharat Maharaj, he was the king of the entire earth planet. He left his kingdom, he left his family, he left everything. And alone he went to the forest. Why did he go to the forest? To hunt animals? Previously he must have done that. He went to the forest many times, Because that's the business of a king, Kshatriya. He goes for hunting, that's called mrigaya, for killing animals in the forest, wild animals. But here we are seeing Bharat Maharaj went to the forest for what purpose? To dedicate himself completely to the hearing, remembering and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that he could uninterruptedly, he could become engaged in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Bharat Maharaj himself is admitting, in such an elevated position he achieved. He was, it has been described, I became self-controlled and self-realized. And I engaged constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He became so advanced. He was self-realized. Self-realized means, what is the meaning of self-realized? Self-realized? Anybody? Yes? And? Very good. One who realizes that he is not his body, but spirit soul. That means he didn't have any body consciousness. He conquered all the demands of the body. That is the meaning of self-realized. No desire or no inclination for fulfilling the body's needs, eating, sleeping and so forth. These are the body's needs. So a person who has become self-realized, he is perfectly situated in his spiritual identity. It's not that he doesn't eat, but he eats just to maintain the body. Just for the sake of maintaining the body. He sleeps just in order to rejuvenate the body. But from that stage he fell down, and after giving up the attachment to his family, which is natural attachment to his wife, attachment to his children, he gave all that up, but then finally he got attached to a deer. With the deer he didn't have any connection, so to say. All that he was doing is taking care of the deer. But that is how strong Maya is. That's why it is said, Mama Maya Durattaya. My Maya is insurmountable. And Prabhupada said, don't think that you are stronger than Maya. Don't think that you won't be affected by Maya. You can overcome the influence of Maya. It's impossible. As Krishna himself is saying, Mama Maya Durattaya. And this is how Maya may come. Maya can come in so many ways. Because Maya knows our weaknesses. And Maya can come in. Like how can Maya come? When we are sleeping, when we don't have any control over ourselves, Maya can enter in our sleep. When Maya can actually influence our mind also and make us forget. So that is how strong Maya is. Therefore, don't underestimate Maya. Prabhupada warned us again and again, don't underestimate Maya. Always be afraid of Maya. Always be afraid of Maya. But Prabhupada also gave us the solution to Maya's influence. Prabhupada told us that Maya is strong, very strong. Maya is Krishna's energy. Therefore, it's impossible to overcome the influence of Maya. The only way you get the protection from Maya is association of devotees. Because association of devotees is also Krishna's energy. And that association is Krishna's internal energy. Maya is Krishna's external energy, Bohiranga Shakti. Whereas association of devotees is Antaranga Shakti. Therefore, association of devotees is the only way we can get protection from Maya. Therefore, always remain in the association of devotees. And association of devotees means serious devotees. Not anybody. Even then, it gives protection. Even a new bhakta can give us protection. A new bhakta who knows the standard, if he sees that we are deviating, he will point out. What? Maharaj, shouldn't be, you should do that, isn't it? Or Prabhu, you should do that. So that is how association of devotees give protection. And therefore, we should be very afraid to be alone. Ekaki amar nahi paye bol harinam sankirtan. Now we can consider if Bharat Maharaj had somebody with him, then that deviation wouldn't have taken place. He would have pointed out, Maharaj, what's happening? You are becoming so attached to the deer. Just as the way we can now think, we can now see. Why did Bharat Maharaj become attached to the deer? That he practically stopped his devotional service and started to meditate on the deer all the time. Instead of meditating on Krishna, he was meditating on the deer. And Prabhupada pointed out, actually through Bharat Maharaj's example, Krishna is giving us a lesson, teaching us. Sometimes the Lord uses his devotees to teach us a lesson. We should not think that Bharat Maharaj deviated, but we have to understand we cannot really understand why such things happen to such exalted devotees. But from that we learn a lesson, that it can happen to me also. So I should be careful. And it's so easy to become attached. Like nowadays we see people are becoming so attached to dogs. And dogs are attached also to their masters. Such reciprocation. Therefore people think that dog is man's best friend. That's quite interesting. He may consider a dog to be his best friend, but if you reverse the word, then you can see what dog is, opposite to God. Right? So dog's attachment is opposite to our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Become very, very careful about dogs. So become very careful about your spiritual life. Don't waste a single moment. Don't take any chance. Become serious. How many of you recognize the fact that it's a very rare opportunity that you got in Krishna consciousness? So how many of you want to take full advantage of it? How many of you want to be really serious about? Yes. So become very serious about your spiritual life. Don't take any chance. And how to become serious? Bharat Maharaj here, Prabhupada here in the purport, he is actually saying, no, Bharat Maharaj himself is saying that when he was practicing his spiritual life, what he was doing, he was constantly remembering, chanting, and becoming engaged in the service of the Lord. I engage constantly in devotional service, hearing, thinking, chanting, worshipping, and remembering the Supreme Lord. That should be our business. Constantly hear, think, chant, and worship the Lord. The purpose of our coming here is for that. The purpose of joining the temple or becoming involved in Krishna consciousness is simply to be constantly engaged in devotional service. If we think back, like those who have gave up their house, left their homes and came to Krishna consciousness. Why did we join the temple? The reason we joined the temple, because at home we could not practice it this way. At least I could not. Because there are so many undesirable influences. You may want to practice devotional service, then his friends would come. The friends would come and say, let's go to such and such place. Why are you just staying at home? Come on. And then you go out with them. And when you go out with them, yes, what do you get? But Maya. So we have to recognize that we have come to Krishna consciousness simply for the sake of being constantly engaged in devotional service. So let's take full advantage of it. But if we don't do that, then Maya will get us. Maya will engage us in all kinds of undesirable activities. And one undesirable activity is that happens very quickly. Prajalpa. Prajalpa means talking about things other than Krishna consciousness. Speaking about things that is not related to Krishna consciousness. And then this prajalpa gradually takes the turn to criticize the devotees. It makes one feel very good to speak bad about others. To speak bad about others makes us feel that we are so great. The others are so bad, but I am so good. That indicates that. When you speak bad about others, it's actually without the objective of to feel that I am so good. Therefore, avoid prajalpa, avoid criticism, and on top of everything, avoid unnecessary sleeping. Sleep just for the sake of keeping the body alive. And when it comes to eating, you can eat as much as you like. But make sure that it's Krishna Prasad. Akantha puriya karo prasad sevan. You can eat prasad up to here. Akantha means neck. But then what? So what is the next condition? Akantha puriya karo prasad sevan. Then apnar shajjai gya karo. No. After that is sarvokkhon karo harinam sankirtan. Sarvokkhon karo hari. If you are eating up to here, then chant the holy name of the Lord all the time. So our main business is to become engaged in devotional service. So make it a point to become serious about your spiritual life. Remain in the association of devotees and remain favorably. Maintain a humble attitude. Don't criticize the devotees. Make it a point not to criticize the devotees. Even if you find some faults in them, don't criticize. If at all it becomes unbearable, then go to the higher authorities and ask them what you should do. But don't criticize. As you know, Vaishnava aparad is the most dangerous thing for our spiritual destruction of our spiritual life. And create a very nice atmosphere, become friends. That's what Rupa Goswami is saying. The dealings between the devotees should be friendship, maitri. Maitri means friendship. Devotees should be friendly to each other. Sometimes it may be difficult to work with somebody. Okay, if you have difficulties, then make friends with others. There are so many other devotees. And also make it a point that that difficulty that you are facing in cooperating with other devotees is not because of your own fault, because of your own false ego, because of your own fault-finding nature. Try to appreciate. Often it happens, we become upset with others because he did something that he did not approve of my doing. But we have to see whether he was right or I am right. If he is right, admit it. Oh, Prabhu, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So spiritual life is actually a very wonderful process. If you follow the process properly, your heart will be filled with joy. And if you don't follow the process properly, then what will happen? If you don't follow the process properly, then Krishna will say, okay, go somewhere else. This is not the place for you. You'll find the right place in the material world. Go. And that's what Krishna does also. It has been said that when one takes shelter of Krishna, Krishna gives him all protection. Then why doesn't Krishna give protection to the devotees? Many a times we see advanced devotees, senior devotees are falling down. Why Krishna is not giving them protection, although they render so much service? And the reason is, Krishna cannot tolerate Vaishnava aparad. Vaishnava aparad is the only thing that makes a devotee leave the association of devotees. Otherwise, Krishna always gives him protection. And when you leave the association of devotees, that's the end of your spiritual life. So, recognize that this is a Vaikuntha atmosphere that Prabhupada is offering to us. Prabhupada has given us Vaikuntha. Now it's up to us whether we'll keep it a Vaikuntha or we'll make it a Narakunda. That is up to us. Prabhupada can give us Vaikuntha, but we can turn this Vaikuntha into Narak. That is our influence. So we should not do that. We got an entry to Vaikuntha, let's stay in Vaikuntha. Let's give ourselves completely to remain in this atmosphere in the most wonderful way by being engaged in devotional service properly. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. All glories to the assembled devotees. Does anybody have any question? Give him the mic. स्वरूप सिद्धि नहीं, अपना आत्मिक स्वरूप को पहचाना, बल्कि अपना जो भक्ति स्वरूप जिसके माध्यम भगवान के साथ हमारा एक संपर्क किया है, उस स्वरूप में स्थिति होने से तब गिर नहीं सकते। हाँ, वैसे ज्ञान मार्ग नहीं, ज्ञान मार्ग में तो वो ज्ञान मार्ग में सोचते हैं मैं ब्रह्म हूँ। जय श्री श्री प्रहलाद नृसिंहदेव की जय, जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की, जय श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय, जय श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय। ज्ञान मार्ग में वो स्वरूप सोचते हैं कि मैं ब्रह्म हूँ, तो वो स्थिति वैसे ही नीचे का है। तो हम ये सोच सकते हैं कि भरत महाराज तो भक्ति मार्ग में थे, तो इसलिए उनका स्वरूप मैं ब्रह्म हूँ वैसा नहीं, मैं भगवान के भक्त हूँ ऐसी भावना था। लेकिन वो पूर्ण रूप से वो स्वरूप सिद्धि नहीं हुआ। अगर होता तो गिरते नहीं। ठीक है, ओके।
First, my question is that Bharat Maharaj was in half stage, but he got the next life in the real body. But in another character is also from Ajamil. He was just the Namavaj, he got the chance for liberation. And what lesson he learned from this?
What's the question?
He fell down from his position, and you find in Bhagavatam, Ajamil's character, who is simply by chanting, when Namavaj is still good for liberation. So what lesson we learn from this both characters?
Yeah. Okay, Bharat Maharaj got a dear body, but then he became a pure devotee. Ajamil also, when he remembered, he got a second chance, and then again he also became a pure devotee. So, different cases can have different way of advancing. Understood? Like both are benefited. Ajamil fell down, and then at the time of death he remembered Narayan, and he got a second chance. So he went to Haridwar and he practiced devotional service, and then he made advancement. Similarly, Bharat Maharaj also got a dear body, recognized his mistakes, became fixed up, became a pure devotee.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for your wonderful explanation. Guru Maharaj, I was wondering, you mentioned that Maya can make us forget. So if we forget Krishna, that is due to Maya. But what is happening when we remember Krishna? Who is making us remember Krishna? Is this Krishna directly?
Okay. Whose question is that? Oh. Yeah, so Maya is like a teacher. Maya is like a teacher. Like a teacher wants you to pass the test. Teacher puts you through test to check how much you have learned. Similarly, Maya is teaching us, and then Maya is putting us through tests. And through the test, when we pass the test, we make advancement. That is how Maya is actually helping us to get closer to Krishna. And as you said, Maya can make us forget Krishna. Maya doesn't make us forget Krishna. Maya tests us to see whether we remember Krishna or not. Just like the teacher at the time of examination, as the invigilator, the same teacher becomes the invigilator. He sees that you are not cheating. But at the same time, the teacher at the examination hall, as an invigilator, is not going to help you answer the question. In the class, the teacher will help you, but at the time of exams, teacher will see that you are answering the questions properly. So that is the business of Maya. Maya sees that we are properly situated in Krishna consciousness and not deviating. Maya comes with these temptations to test us. Do you want Krishna or do you want this? Do you want Krishna or do you want Maya? That is what Maya's business. Maya comes in that way, but Maya doesn't actually want you to fall for that. Because Maya is the maidservant of Krishna. So why the maidservant of Krishna will make somebody go away from Krishna? But that person himself decides to go away from Krishna. Then Maya says, sorry, you failed the test. That is, properly to understand this point will be that Maya's business is like a policeman. One same policeman, when you are committing crime, the policeman is arresting you and punishing you. But when you want to see the king, then the same policeman escorts you to the king. So when we are averse to Krishna, then Maya is punishing us. But when we are favorable to Krishna, then this Maya as Yogamaya is taking us to Krishna. That is Maya's role. And as you ask, Kirti Kumari, like who makes us remember Krishna? Our Krishna consciousness is making us remember Krishna. And that comes from the devotee. Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bij. The seed of bhakti comes from the spiritual master and Krishna. By Krishna's mercy we get the Guru, and by Guru's mercy we get Krishna. So it's the spiritual master that gives us Krishna consciousness, the holy name, and sincerity and motivation to become fixed up in spiritual life. Okay, so another question from Bangalore, from Deepesh Baghel. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Why doesn't the Lord give intelligence to his devotee when he is doing offense to devotees? Krishna is giving the intelligence and telling you not to do that. But if you decide to become foolish and stupid and say, don't take that advice, then who can help you? Another thing is that Krishna wants us to become qualified to go to the spiritual world, go back to Godhead. Because if you are a troublemaker, then why Krishna will let you go into the spiritual world and create trouble there? Krishna wants to make sure that you are an asset, not a burden. So become an asset. When you become an asset, then Krishna will take you to the spiritual world. But if you become a nonsense, then Krishna will say, well, yes, for you I created this material nature. Stay here. Stay here. For you only I made this world. To act in a nonsensical way. That's why Krishna created this material nature. And the result is, you act in a nonsensical way and then you get punished. That's the law of material nature. Karmic reaction. But when you surrender to Krishna, become properly situated, then you become qualified to go back to Godhead. Krishna wants you to go back to Godhead. But at the same time, Krishna wants you to become qualified. Do you think Krishna will let you go if you become offensive to the devotees? You go to the spiritual world and start to criticize Subal, Sudam, Lalita, Vishakha. You'll simply create disturbance there. Therefore, Krishna will not want you to go there. Amit Sharma from Bangalore again. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat, Pranam. Generally, we are having correcting nature. How we can stop ourselves in correcting some devotee, or how we can mold in such a way that another devotee doesn't feel hurt. Well, correcting nature, in order to be a correcting, you may have correcting nature, Amit, but the question is, are you in a position to correct? Like if you are a new bhakta, and if you want to correct the temple president, then it won't be accepted. But if you're a GBC and if you want to correct the temple president, you can do that. You can utilize your correcting nature, correcting ability. So one has to see whether he has the authority to do certain things. And as you are saying, that how we can stop ourselves of correcting some devotee. Like, as I said, like, see your situation. Are you in a position to correct him? Say, for example, the teacher can correct a student. Senior can correct a junior. But a junior cannot correct a senior. If there is a need, a senior to be corrected, then Haribhakti Vilas is advising that the junior devotees should get into a group, not just one person. As a group, they would discuss among themselves whether their perception is correct, whether the senior devotee needs to be corrected. And then as a group, they would approach him in a very humble way. That is the Vaishnava etiquette. Vaishnava world is very, very strictly established on the consideration of etiquette. The transgression of etiquette is not allowed in Vaishnava culture. And now in the next point you are saying, how can he mold in such a way that another devotee doesn't feel hurt? Good point. Do it in such a way that he understands that you are correcting him for his own benefit. That's also very important, that senior devotees, when they're correcting a junior devotee, they should try to see that it is for their own benefit that they're doing it. Okay, thank you. Any other question? Yes? Nimai?
Like Bhagavatam, we get two kinds of guidelines. Like Prahlad will say, I came with Krishna consciousness, he is prayed to Lord Nrsimhadeva. So Lord, I am not worried about too much about my the liberation of our mind, getting out from the material world, but I am concerned about the people who are suffering in the material world. Similarly, Dhritarashtra means like Chitraketu Maharaj is also telling like Narayana Parasarvena Krishna Siddhati. Lord Chaitanya is also teaching us 6 aspects, not generally Janmaneshwari Bhota. So we see that this one aspect, and here Bharat Maharaj is, from the example of Bharat Maharaj, is like one should be very much protective and cautious about going home back to God. So, and if we understand Srila Prabhupada, so Srila Prabhupada is also emphasizing more on preaching, means like attain is the best form of defense. So Maharaj, how we should understand where to draw the line in between these guidelines, where one...
How we should draw the line between what?
Like we say, one is like, okay, I'm not worried about whether I have to take birth again and again. And another thing is that, no, I just want to finish the business within this thing.
Yeah, good point. It will depend upon one's advancement. Like when one is very advanced, then he becomes completely surrendered. Advancement is actually degree of surrender. More advanced one is, more surrendered he will be. So at a very advanced stage, one's attitude becomes like that. My Lord, whatever you want, do that. I'm prepared to accept any situation. But at a less advanced situation, one may desire, yes, I want to become liberated, I want to go to Vaikuntha. Right? So, it's just like, when one is a child, his mentality is in one way. Like when one is a child, he is asking the father, Father, give me this, give me that. And for a child, it's all right. Father also feels happy when the child says, Daddy, give me that, give me that. And he gives it to him. And seeing the child happy, the father feels happy. But when the child grows up, and he is standing on his own feet, does he ask the father, give me this, give me that? Or he takes care of the father? See how the attitude changes due to maturity? Similarly, with the maturity of our spiritual advancement, our spiritual maturity, our attitude will change. When we are at a neophyte stage, we can say, like, Krishna, I want this, I want that. But in advanced stage, his attitude will be, Krishna, what can I do for you? I don't want to take any service from you. Like the other day, I gave the example of Sanatana Goswami chastising Rupa Goswami because Radharani came and brought milk and rice and sugar for Rupa Goswami to make sweet rice for Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami desired it and Radharani herself came and gave it to him. So when Sanatana Goswami realized that, he chastised, why did you make Radharani take the trouble? Okay, so thank you. Yes, Radharani.
Can you please help me understand this concept that I am finding with Bharat Maharaj? He, in text number 9, is that in text 9, is recognizing that this deer is causing him to neglect his spiritual life.
Yeah, say it again. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing clearly.
Can you hear it properly now?
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to understand this concept that's affected Bharat Maharaj and how I can protect myself from it because I have that tendency as well. So in text 9, Bharat Maharaj...
It takes 9.
Yes.
The verse 9.
Can I read it out?
Yeah.
He says...
The same chapter.
Yes, Bharat Maharaj. This deer is thinking in this way. So it says, I should certainly gratify and pondering, when it has taken shelter of me.
Which line is that? Is it from
the last verse of text 9.
Yeah, the translation. The translation. Yeah.
Even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. That would be a great fault. So from this I understand that he gave this deer shelter and protection of its duty, but he still recognizes it disturbing his spiritual life. Did you find it below that?
No. Which line is it from the translation?
It's the last one. Just even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual.
The last line, even though the deer is disturbing my life, my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. What would be a great fault? Is that the sentence? Yeah.
So when I read that, I understand that he's showing compassion, he's doing duty to take care.
Well, that is how Maya enters. That is how Maya enters. Oh, I must do it, otherwise what will happen to this deer? Like the thing is, but the devotional approach is, who is more important, the deer or Krishna? Right? Who is more important, my material attachment or Krishna? So that should be the deciding factor. All right?
He's the controller, it's his responsibility rather than giving to Krishna.
Yes, yes. Our spiritual life ultimately is depending upon us. Why did Krishna give us independence? If Krishna has to decide for us and do things for us, then why did he give us independence? The reason he gave us independence is for us to decide what we want. And the decision is very simple. Krishna or Maya. Ultimately it comes to that point. And we have to use our intelligence to figure out what is Krishna and what is Maya. And if we cannot really decide ourselves, we can take shelter, we can take advice from senior devotees. Take guidance. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri. Oh, you have a question? Okay. Last question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just had one this question. How glorious is that one moment?
How glorious?
Is that one moment when we remember Krishna?
How glorious is that moment when you remember Krishna? You figure it out yourself. Right? The question is how glorious you are feeling. Sometimes we hear how glorious it is. Do you recognize the glory? Did I ever tell you that there are three types of people? I think it happened here with Kalidas. Somebody came to Vikramaditya's court with three identical models, identical figures, all made of gold. So he asked Vikramaditya, what is the value of these three? What price will you pay for these? This one, and this one. So Vikramaditya asked his ministers and they all said, well, they weigh the same, looks the same, so they'll be of the same value. But the person says, no. There are three of them are of three different values. So then Vikramaditya asked Kalidas, so what do you say about this? So Kalidas took a wire, copper wire. The first one, he ran it through his ears, and the wire came out from the other side. He said, this one doesn't cost anything. Then he took the wire to the second one. The second wire went to the head. He said, no, I'm sorry. The second wire got stuck. He said, this has some value. And the third one, the wire went to his heart. And he said, this one is priceless. What is the lesson? There are three types of people. With one ear it enters, with the other ear it goes out. They're useless. Those who keep it within themselves, which means keep it in their mind, they have some value. But those who take it to their heart, what they hear, their value is priceless. Okay. So similarly, how do you recognize the glory of appreciating Krishna consciousness? It will depend how much we are taking it to our heart, how much we are appreciating it accordingly. Right? So many people come to the movement, join the temple, they don't really become seriously involved. Often we see that we have to force them to become engaged. They come, often devotees come here to eat and sleep. And we have to push them. The management has to push them to become engaged. So are they really appreciating the value of Krishna consciousness? No. On the other hand, somebody from the very beginning, they become so seriously involved. That means they recognize the value of their involvement in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Okay. From? Who is it from? Okay. From Bhopal?
Dubai.
Oh, from Dubai.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, yesterday you mentioned that our spiritual accomplishment will be carried part after part. So my question is...
Our which accomplishment?
Our
spiritual accomplishment, yeah.
Will be carried part after part. So my question is, does our spiritual offenses be carried forward?
It can, so be careful not to commit any offense. Those spiritual offenses will protect us from advancing in spiritual life. So yes, whatever is spiritual is with the soul. So we have to be very, very careful. Just as the assets can be with us forever, our offenses also can have similar kind of effect. Like, it won't be carried as such, but it will stifle our progress. It will prevent the spirit soul to make spiritual advancement. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande.